What if everything we know about the Viltrumites is a lie? Not just their origin, not just their powers, but the entire timeline. Rewritten, covered up, weaponized. You might have heard the theory, maybe in the last video, that Viltrumites didn't just look like humans. They were humans, or at least something dangerously close. But the rabbit hole didn't end there. Comment sections exploded. Fan theories spiraled. Some asked, what if the Immortal wasn't just old? He was version 0. Others said, what if smart atoms weren't evolution, but code? And the scariest thought, maybe time itself was tampered with. Maybe what we think is history is just the reboot. So before we break what's left of canon, tap subscribe if you love deep dives, chaos theory, and Invincible lore. So twisted, it makes Nolan look stable. This channel runs on cosmic speculation and the stubborn fan obsession, and you're one click from joining the madness. Today, we're digging into the fan-fueled chaos that followed. Ancient seeding, cosmic engineers, hybrid conspiracies, and time loops that would give Kang a migraine. This isn't just about strength anymore, it's about timelines that don't line up. Welcome to the Viltrumite origin theory that breaks the timeline. Let's rewind the clock, way past the rise of Viltrum, past the Empire, past even the so-called golden age of their evolution. What if the Viltrumites weren't first? What if they were a sequel? There's a theory picking up steam across comment sections and Reddit threads that humans came first. Not just as cousins, but as the original blueprint. Unstable, chaotic, primitive, but brimming with potential. And someone tried to fix us. Look at the clues. Viltrumites and humans can produce children with 0 weird alien side effects. No genetic breakdowns, no sterile hybrids. That's not a lucky mutation, that's engineered compatibility. It gets wilder. Some fans believe Earth was seeded with life by an ancient empire, maybe even by ourselves, in a lost age of cosmic expansion. Others flip it. Maybe Viltrum was the petri dish, and Earth is the control group. Either way, it reeks of manipulation, of rewritten biology, of a plan, because the Viltrumites aren't just stronger, they're optimized. Strength above all, longevity, regeneration, and a deep, festering paranoia toward Earth. What if they weren't born that way, but made that way? Modified descendants, forgotten cousins, and now we're the glitch in the Matrix, the original version they tried to erase, which makes this whole war not conquest, but cleanup. And maybe Earth wasn't spared. Maybe we were quarantined until it's our turn. Let's talk about the secret sauce. Smart atoms are why Viltrumites can tank nukes, fly through vacuum, and walk off decapitations like paper cuts. But here's where things get weird. They're not natural. They're technology. Yep, bio-nanotech. Programmable particles stitched into every cell. This isn't evolution, it's installation. Their DNA, it's not just genetic, it's software. Software that updates, heals, adapts, and maybe evolves on its own. So the real question becomes, who wrote the code? Some fans think smart atoms were left behind, relics of a long-lost civilization that seeded worlds with living tech. Others say they're viral, leaping from species to species like a cosmic OS update. Sometimes they upgrade, sometimes they corrupt. Which brings us to the Scourge virus. Didn't just kill Viltrumites, it bricked them, like malware slipping through a back door. And if that's true, then this isn't just biology at risk, it's an entire operating system under siege. And then there's the weirdest part, hybrids. Human Viltrumite kids don't just have smart atoms, they unlock them. Gradually, as if something inside them is waiting, like a hidden subroutine, biding its time. And maybe Earth isn't a battlefield. Maybe it's beta testing. You ever wonder why the Immortal feels off? Like, sure, he's cool. Ancient warrior, unkillable, punches like a truck. But for someone who's been around for millennia, the lore around him is suspiciously thin. No clear origin, no explanation for his powers, just a glowing orb and a flashback, and boom, he's Superman with a beard. That's not just lazy writing. The Immortal isn't just a random anomaly, he's a failed experiment, a prototype, an early attempt at creating what would later become the Viltrumite species. Think about it. His power set is eerily similar to theirs. Flight, strength, healing, longevity. But he's lesser, slower, breakable, like a beta version of something way more dangerous. Maybe he stumbled across ancient tech, the smart atom equivalent of a radioactive Genesis device. And here's where it gets creepy. What if the Viltrumites know? What if that's why they treat him with such disdain, not just as an enemy, but as a reminder of where they came from, of a past they buried, a time when they weren't gods. Yet, the Immortal doesn't just fight Viltrumites, he haunts them. And if he really is the missing link between humanity and Viltrumites, then his existence breaks the clean, eugenic narrative the Empire built itself on. He's the glitch in their system, and glitches have a way of revealing the truth. truth. Let's break something sacred. The timeline. Invincible's universe might pretend it's clean cut. Past, present, Viltrumite, genocide, done. But look closer, and it starts to unravel. Time travel already exists. Alternate dimensions exist. Temporal manipulation is canon, and yet, we're supposed to believe the Viltrumite rise happened in a straight, unbroken line. Here's a mindbender. What if someone, or something, has already tampered with their history? There's a theory that future hybrids, like Mark's descendants, travel back in time. Not to save anyone, but to seed something. To plant DNA, ideas, or even smart atom tech thousands of years before it was ever invented. That would make the entire Viltrumite species recursive. You know who fits into that loop perfectly? The Immortal. He shows up way too early in Earth's history. He survives everything, and no one knows where he came from. What if he didn't come from Earth's past, but from its future? Every timeline needs a crack. A moment where cause and effect start to eat each other alive. An Invincible's crack might be this. The Viltrumite Empire was never destiny. It was a detour, a ripple in time, and now that ripple's catching up to them. Let's flip the script one last time. What if Earth isn't just connected to Viltrumite history, but is the next target in the sequence? Think about it. Viltrumites can breed with humans almost seamlessly. Their hybrid offspring, Mark, for example, inherit insane levels of strength, resilience, and speed. That kind of genetic compatibility doesn't happen between random alien species. It suggests shared ancestry or a shared design. Now let's bring smart atoms back into the mix. If they're programmable tech, and if they're evolving, what if their next phase is already happening on Earth? Slowly, silently rewriting human DNA through Viltrumite hybrids, like Mark, until the species reaches a new state. In that sense, Earth isn't just another planet. It's the Stage 2 prototype. That could explain why Viltrumites monitor us so closely, not out of fear or curiosity, but because Earth is part of the same experiment. Or worse, because the smart atom system has already activated something on our world, and the Viltrumites want to control it before it gets out of hand. We're not just humans, we're the next version of Viltrumites. And if that's true, maybe the war for Earth hasn't even started yet. So here we are. We started with a simple idea. What if the Viltrumites weren't born powerful, but made? What if their story, their empire, and even their DNA were all part of a larger, hidden timeline? Across this video, we've dug through forgotten experiments, mysterious particles, ancient architects, and a broken cosmic clock. We've looked at the Immortal not as a side character, but as a relic, at smart atoms not as powers, but as programmable infection, at Earth not as a battleground, but a blueprint. Individually, each theory cracks the surface of Invincible's lore. Together, they fracture it completely. And maybe that's the real point. Maybe the timeline we've been told isn't the timeline that was lived. Maybe this universe isn't built on linear history, but on buried truths. Drop your wildest theory in the comments. I'll be reading everything. And hey, if this deep dive broke your brain just a little, hit that like button, subscribe for more lore-shattering breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next timeline.